How's it going, guys? So I just wanted to take a minute today to film a little video on a personal journey that I've been on recently around just a fear of what people think and how to overcome that fear and move into a place of agency where you start actually taking action. So I think a lot of what's driven me to this point and having to do all this work to get to this point where I feel like I'm slowly actually breaking out of these vicious, unproductive, unhelpful, however comfortable cycles that I've been in, has been this knot in my stomach, this knot of suffering that I think a lot of people are familiar with, where on one side you have the life that you want, the life that you dream of, your hopes, your aspirations, and in the middle there's the actions that you know that you need to be taking in order to achieve the life that you want. And on the left is you, where you currently are in your current reality. And I think a lot of the suffering comes from consciously witnessing yourself avoiding taking the actions to get to where you want. And it fucking sucks. It really sucks. It sucks being afraid of taking the actions that you know have the highest probability to get you to the life that you want to live. And that fear sits in your stomach and you hate it, but it hates you back. And it's this cycle where you're trying to find a way to regulate your nervous system, and you're trying to find a way to feel safe, and you're trying to find a way to feel productive and feel like you're actually making progress on this fear of taking action by doing anything but taking action. So if you're stuck in a place of procrastination masquerading itself as productivity, rumination feeling like problem solving, but really you're just stuck going in very comfortable circles. There's a great saying that I really like that always makes me think and hits me a little too hard sometimes, and that's are you making any progress, or are you just getting better at running in circles? And I think this just really highlights this main idea of just going in comfortable circles to regulate your nervous system, to try and do anything but take the action. So that's what I've been dealing with. That's what I've been stuck with. And I think a lot of it comes down to fear. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of posting content. I'm afraid of filming videos. I'm afraid of being vulnerable. It's scary. I'm afraid of putting myself out there. But every time that fear wins the argument, and I avoid doing the thing, whether it's filming the video or whatever it is, I betray my true self. And then I start to resent myself, and you start to get angry at yourself, and the cycle goes round and round and round, and you're looking for someone to blame, but there isn't anyone to blame but you, and that makes you even more frustrated and even more angry, and the stakes feel like they get higher and higher and higher, and there's a plethora of issues to unpack here. But let's say you're afraid of what people think. Let's say you're afraid of filming content because you're exposing your true self, and that's terrifying because there's nothing to hide behind. There's no excuses at that point. And there's a few ideas that have really helped me recently. First one is there are only two flavors of suffering. There's suffering with growth and there's suffering without growth. And you've got to pick one. And I'd say, it's a shame to waste your suffering. Don't waste your suffering. Idea number 2 is, I think I catch myself only contemplating all of the negatives. When I think about my fear, I'm afraid of what people think, I'm thinking about all these nameless, faceless people in crowds, and they're all thinking horrible things about me. But do I think about any of the people I love? Do I think about my mom? Do I think about my girlfriend? Do I think about me? Do I think about myself? Do I care about what my opinion is? Why do I throw that on the wayside? Like, yeah, whatever, like your opinion's the last that matters. Do I think about my grandma? I called my grandma before filming this video because I don't know. I needed some of that good old grandma simplicity and fuel, and just something to really nourish my soul. And I called her, and I just thought to myself, like, the only people whose opinions should bear any weight over you and your actions, the only opinions that matter are of the people whose dreams and hopes and aspirations for your life are bigger than yours. And when I think about my grandma and I think about making this video, and I just think, what if I was making this for her? Think about someone you love and go, what if I was making this for them? What would they say? What would they think? Like, my grandma would watch this. She wouldn't hear or understand a single fucking word of it. But, she'd be like, oh, Cades, I just think that's wonderful. I told her today, I was like, Granny, like, I'm thinking of trying something new. I'm thinking of filming videos about my thoughts on life and my personal experiences, and sharing ideas, and like trying to connect to people who are like-minded, and tell them that it's okay to feel these ways. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to earn love. It's okay to love yourself as you are now and still want the best for yourself, still want to improve, and it's okay to be afraid. And and she was just like, I don't think you need to worry about any of that. I don't think you need to. I told her I was afraid of what people would think, and she said, I don't think you need to worry about any of that. And I thought to myself, if my intentions are pure, then, and someone has a negative opinion of something I've shared really honestly, like, does their opinion really matter? Are those the people whose opinions should matter to you? Or should you just kind of base your actions off of, like, one, your internal compass? Don't betray yourself. Don't betray your own integrity. Do the thing that's calling to you, that's calling your heart. Do it. Be vulnerable and put yourself out there. And once you do it once, I think, and you see that the world doesn't end, no one even bats an eye, no one cares really. Like, most of the people who you think would care won't even know, one day when you die, they won't even know that you died. And years before you even die, they're going to forget about that one video that you posted that had 3 views. So do the thing anyway. Think about the people that you love. Think about their opinions, and they're the only ones that matter. And don't waste your suffering. And I'd say one final key idea on this that really helped me break through was, I noticed myself doing loads of reading, doing loads of oh, I just need to become better. I just need to know more. I just need to write more. Maybe I should buy a typewriter. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should write essays on the ideas that I want to talk about first before talking about them. Maybe I should watch more podcasts. Maybe I should do 100 other things other than film a video and talk and let it be terrible and, you know, just have people stop watching within the first 30 seconds. You know, I noticed myself doing all those things. I noticed myself falling into the trap of taking 10 times the amount of time it would take making the decision as it would take to do the thing and figure out whether it would work or not in the first place. Like, you know, and it got me to a point where I realized that the fear doesn't go away. The fear doesn't get any less. No matter how much you read about it, no matter how much whatever it is, how much preparation and productivity that that is just disguised avoidance that you do, and it's always going to be scary, and you're always going to be shit the first time, and that's just how it goes. Simple, you know. It doesn't get any less scary. You just have to do it. It gets to a point where you can't lower the fear anymore. You can't lower the threshold purely with your mind. You can only lower it now with experience, and that's it. There is a price to pay. There's a price to pay. It's scary, and that's a good thing. Oh, it's amazing that there's a price to pay, because, you know, otherwise it wouldn't be worth it. Imagine it wasn't scary and it wasn't a challenge, and it didn't challenge you to personally grow, you know, then, or spiritually grow, or whatever it is. Like, there'd be no point. Facing fear is an incredible feeling, and it's nourishing, and it's growing, and I really, really, really just hope that you understand that there's suffering with growth and there's suffering without growth, and you're going to suffer either way. So for the sake of your own self, if there's something you're afraid of doing, rather suffer while doing it and be happy knowing that you're going with the grain of your true self, than suffer because you're afraid of doing it and you're going against the grain of your true self. And I think I'd like to end this video with a poem that someone wrote me. This little dude was sitting on the side of the road with a typewriter and was doing like improvised poems. You sit down and you talk to him a little bit, you give him some context, and he just writes a poem on whatever it is. Like, my dog died, you know, his name was this, you can write me on that. You know, and I sat down and I said, man, I'm making this journey right now. I'm trying to cross this chasm, if that is the right word. I'm trying to cross this chasm that feels almost impossible to cross, and that's going from strictly intellectual thinking to belief, to simply just believing in yourself, to having faith, you know, thinking about like God. What's God? What are these big ideas? You know, can you find God without religion? You know, certain ideas where I'm moving from an intellectual point of view to a belief and faith-based point of view, where it's like there's some things you just have to, in the end of the day, choose. And one of those things is yourself. So this poem comes in this lovely little handwritten thing. The poem's called A Ripple and a Splash. For Caden, love, Johnny Heath, Bristol. So check him out. I think he's on Instagram, whatever it is. There's a little poem. Gorgeous, like inky little mistakes, typewritten, if that's what you call it. A ripple and a splash. There's no proof or nothing but I a drop of rain absorbed into the sea with a ripple and a splash. And finally, just this mystery discovered and constructed, living scripture made of grass and moss and glass and concrete. You can search forever for the voice of God, or realize it's only ever been God speaking. No matter how many theories you make on water, you'll never get wet till you jump in. Then the splash, the ripple, and finally, ordinary life. Not a hair, not a molecule different, yet everything changed. And I think that's the journey where you decide to just go after what you want, despite the fear. Let the fear guide you. If you're afraid of doing it, it's something you should do. And let that suffering fuel your growth and not go to waste. Choose yourself. Find your version of God. Find your version of faith. Find your version of belief, and put yourself out there. And realize that nothing can harm you. Nothing can come through a screen and attack you. And that the only people who really care, the people that love you, and their opinions are the only ones that really matter. But still, no one can truly know you. And therefore, no one can actually truly give you full validation other than yourself. Which is why I think when people say know yourself or know your worth, it's more to say, realize that you are the only person who actually can truly know your worth and have it matter in the first place. And everybody else's opinions are just opinions and perceptions. And that if you're lost, if you allow yourself to be lost and scattered and validated only by the ever-changing ocean of perceptions and permissions, where does your true self actually lie and come to life? Where do they get given life and permission to just live? When do you give your true self permission to unapologetically live in this life? Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope there's some ideas there that help. And yeah, tune in next time.